Welcome back to the deep dive. This is Building Humans. And before we take a single step further into what is honestly a massive topic today, we have to acknowledge the partners who have made this entire journey possible.
We certainly do.
This is Building Humans, sponsored by Al Mahaba Foundation and Dar El Kalima Publishing.
It has been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has. And today feels, well, it feels heavy, but in a necessary way. We're here at the finish line.
This is season finale.
This is it, episode 17. We're calling this deep dive the final statement. Stop your hidden war. For the last 16 episodes, we have been meticulously reading through Education and Peace together. We've looked at the diagnosis of, what's wrong with our society, we've looked at the symptoms, and we've hinted at the cure.
Exactly. We've spent hours analyzing the illness.
But today, I feel like we need to clarify something for you right off the bat. This isn't a review session.
No.
We aren't just going to summarize the last 16 hours of content like some kind of greatest hits album.
No, absolutely not. If you treat this as a summary, you miss the point entirely. Today is about the delivery of a trust, or perhaps a message.
A message.
Yeah. Imagine we have spent 16 episodes building a platform, constructing a stage, and today we're finally handing the microphone to the person who actually matters.
I love that image. So, okay, let's set the scene properly then. I want everyone listening to just close your eyes for a second. Imagine the General Assembly of the United Nations. You have the world leaders, the politicians, the so-called giants of our world in their expensive suits. But standing at the podium, adjusting the microphone that is way too tall for them, is a human infant, a child.
It's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And it's the central visualization for this whole finale.
And this child is addressing not just the politicians in the room, but the teachers, the principals, the parents watching at home. If that child could speak with the full articulation of an adult, but keep the spirit of a child, what would they say?
That is the question, isn't it? This is the cream of the crop of Montessori thought. If that child stood there, they wouldn't be asking for better toys.
Right.
They wouldn't be asking for candy or a new iPad. They would be demanding their fundamental right to life.
It's a demand for existence.
Precisely. And the core thesis, the opening statement of this child at the UN would be this quote from the source text. "You try to stop war with cannons, but I am the only one capable of stopping it with love.
And then the key phrase,
If you allow me."
if you allow me, that is the kicker. It implies we are currently stopping them.
We are. We are actively preventing it. And that is why this episode is structured as a manifesto. A three-part letter from the child to the world.
To the governments, to the schools, and to the parents.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that first message. The child turns to the presidents, the prime ministers, the lawmakers, the giants. What's the indictment here?
The indictment is, well, it's negligence and it's misplaced priorities. The child looks at these giants, these adults who run the world, and accuses them of an obsession.
An obsession with what?
With the science of war.
The science of war. But hang on, isn't defense the primary job of a government? Securing borders? Protecting citizens?
From the adult perspective, sure, of course. But look at it from the child's perspective. We spend billions, trillions, collectively building walls, securing borders, developing more efficient ways to destroy one another.
We study it.
We study war. We fund war. We treat war as this sophisticated science. But what are we actually protecting?
Usually borders, resources, economic interests.
Imaginary lines on a map. The child looks at this and just sees madness. Because while we build these fortresses for adults, we haven't built a world for the child. This leads us to one of the most heartbreaking terms in the entire Montessori vocabulary.
Which is?
The forgotten citizen.
The Forgotten Citizen. It sounds like the title of a spy novel or something, but it describes a reality we all just ignore.
It is the reality of childhood. Think about it. The child is the only demographic in the human race with no vote, no voice, no union representation, no seat at the table.
None.
And yet, this forgotten citizen is the one doing the hardest work of all, building the future of humanity.
And when you look at our physical world, the infrastructure, it just proves the point, doesn't it? We build highways for cars. We build bridges for commerce. But try being a 3-year-old walking in a modern city.
It's lethal.
It is. There's no safe space. The environment is actually hostile to them. They're in physical danger just by existing in a world built by adults for adults.
Exactly. So in this manifesto, the child at the podium makes a demand. They don't want a Ministry of Education that just dictates curriculum. They are demanding a Ministry of Childhood.
A Ministry of Childhood. Okay, how is that different from a Department of Education?
Well, a Department of Education usually focuses on instruction. How do we get data into the brain? A Ministry of Childhood, as the source describes it, would be a governing body designed to protect the child from the adult,
From the adults, wow.
to ensure they have space and rights and the ability to develop according to nature's laws, not society's convenience.
That is a massive shift in perspective, and it ties into this idea of the single nation, right?
Yes, the child doesn't see borders. A child born in Russia, a child born in the US, a child born in China, psychologically, they are identical. Their needs, their potential, they belong to the single nation of humanity. It's the adults who create all the artificial divisions.
It's funny, you look at the news and you see factions, it's all us versus them. The child just sees people.
And that leads to the diagnosis of our current state, which the text calls moral schizophrenia.
Moral schizophrenia, that is a heavy term. Break that down for us.
It's accurate, though. Look at us. Technologically, we are practically gods. We can fly. We can communicate instantly across the globe. We can cure diseases. Intellectually and scientifically, we have soared into the future. But morally, spiritually,
We're stuck.
we have stagnated. We are still fighting the same tribal wars we fought in the Stone Age, just with much, much better weapons.
So we have the technology of the 21st century and the morality of, well, the Dark Ages.
Precisely. And the source text uses this vivid analogy for our political choices. We think we're making these grand decisions, but often we are just choosing between the plague and cholera.
The plague and cholera.
It refers to our political isms. We choose between colonialism and fanaticism, or isolationism versus imperialism. We choose one sickness over another, and we call it foreign policy.
And the child is offering what?
The child is offering health, because while the bomb destroys, the child is the only force in the universe that actually builds.
So that's the message to the politicians. I am the forgotten citizen. Stop building walls and give me a ministry of childhood. Now, the child turns their gaze to the educators, the principals, the teachers.
Yeah, this is where it gets uncomfortable for the school system.
I can imagine. If the government ignores the child, surely the school, which is designed for the child, does better.
You would hope so. But the manifesto describes the traditional school not as a garden, but as a military barracks, or even a tomb.
A tomb. That's incredibly harsh. I mean, kids are learning, they're socializing.
Or are they? Or are they being conditioned? Think about the traditional classroom requirement. Sit still. Be silent. Listen.
Quiet hands, quiet feet. I remember hearing that a lot.
Exactly. But movement is the language of the mind. Biology dictates that a child learns through movement, through touch, through interaction. When we force them to sit like statues for 6 hours a day, we are committing a crime against their very nature.
We're suppressing the one thing that drives their development.
And this creates what the source calls mutilated men.
Whoa, mutilated men. That is a graphic image. Explain that.
It refers to the separation of the hand from the brain. Traditional education focuses almost entirely on the brain theory, memorization, abstract concepts. The hand, the instrument of action, of work, of creation, is metaphorically tied behind their back.
So we end up with adults who can theorize, but they can't actually do anything.
Disjointed human beings. We are creating a schism in the human personality. The source contrasts the old theory, what it calls the empty vessel theory, with the truth.
The empty vessel being the idea that the child is just a bucket we have to fill with facts.
Correct. As if they're empty and we are the source of all substance. The counter theory, the Montessori view, is the buried jewel.
The buried jewel.
The value is already there. It is innate. The educator's job isn't to fill the bucket. It is to gently brush away the dirt so that the jewel can shine. It's a process of discovery, not transmission.
I love that. So the child at the podium says to the teachers, stop treating me like a bucket.
And, more importantly, give me back my hands. The child demands to work, to discover, to cooperate. The current system breeds competition. Who got the best grade, who's at the top of the class. It breeds envy and eventually hatred.
Right.
The new education must breed builders of civilization who are free, not slaves who just know how to obey orders.
Because if you raise a child to only obey orders, you're basically raising a soldier, not a citizen.
Exactly. You are preparing them for war.
Okay, so we've addressed the government and the school. Now we get to the third message. And honestly, looking at the outline, this one hits the hardest.
It does.
This is the message to the parents.
It is the most difficult message because it addresses the people who love the child the most. It addresses the mother and father who would, take a bullet for their kid.
Right. We sacrifice everything for them. We lose sleep. We spend money. We worry constantly. But the child at the podium looks at the parents and says, What?
This child says, "Stop serving me."
Stop serving me. That feels completely counterintuitive. We think service is love.
That is the paradox. We think that by tying their shoes, feeding them, cleaning up after them, shielding them from every single struggle, we are showing love.
Hmm.
But the child says, when you do these things for me, when I'm capable of doing them myself, you are not loving me. You are disabling me.
It's a disability. We're stealing their competence.
We are. The motto of this new education, the plea from the child is, teach me to do it myself.
Teach me to do it myself. It's such a simple phrase, but it requires so much patience from the parent. Let's be real. It's just faster to tie the shoe yourself.
It is faster for you,
Mm.
but it's destructive for them. Unnecessary help is an obstacle to development. And here we get into the spiritual dimension of the text. Dr. Montessori introduces the concept of the spiritual embryo.
The spiritual embryo, is this a religious concept?
Not in a dogmatic sense, it's developmental. Just as the physical embryo needs a protected environment to grow in the womb, the newborn child is a spiritual embryo. Their personality, their spirit, is still forming. They are a cosmic guest.
A cosmic guest. That really changes the way you look at a toddler throwing a tantrum.
The text even goes as far as calling them a child messiah.
That is a very strong term. The child messiah.
It's meant to be. The child comes into the world to teach us love again. Every parent knows this feeling. When a baby is born, the hardest hearts soften. The most selfish adults suddenly become selfless. The child brings this fresh wave of love into the world. They are the messiahs of affection.
But we crush that, don't we?
We do. We let our inner dictator take over.
The inner dictator.
We treat the child as property. This is my child. We treat them as a doll to dress up or as a vessel to fulfill our own lost dreams. I wasn't a doctor, so you must be a doctor.
Oof. Yeah, that hits home for a lot of people.
The child says, I am not your property. I am a guest. You must kill the tyrant inside yourself. If we do not allow the child to grow independently, they cannot become the strong adult who is capable of protecting us later.
That's the irony, isn't it? We weaken them now, and then wonder why the world is full of weak adults.
Precisely.
So we have these three messages, but I want to zoom out. You always help us connect this to the bigger picture. Why does this matter for the survival of the species? The source text uses a very vivid metaphor about a palace.
Yes. The palace on a volcano.
Paint that picture for us.
Imagine civilization is a magnificent, glittering palace. We have art, science, technology, skyscrapers. It's beautiful. But we have built this palace on a foundation of suppressed childhood. We have built it on the suffering and misunderstanding of the human spirit at its origin.
And that foundation is the volcano.
Yes, because if the human spirit is warped in childhood, it doesn't just go away. It accumulates, it boils, and eventually that volcano erupts. That eruption is war. That eruption is social chaos. We keep trying to patch the cracks in the palace walls, but we're ignoring the lava right beneath the floorboards.
So to stop the volcano, we have to fix the foundation. We have to understand the cosmic task.
Ah, the cosmic task. This is one of my favorite concepts in the entire book.
Break it down for us.
The idea is that every living thing and every human being has a job, a task, that benefits the whole, often without them even realizing it.
The source gives the example of the baker, right?
The baker, yes. Does the baker bake bread because he wants to feed the village out of some grand sense of charity? No. He bakes bread to earn a living to feed his own family. But the result of his task is that the village eats.
He serves the whole by just serving his function.
Exactly. Or look at the miner. The text uses the miner metaphor. The miner digs into the earth, suffering in the dark, looking for diamonds or coal. He does it for wages. But the result is that the world has energy, or the world has beauty.
So what is the child's cosmic task?
The child's cosmic task is the most important one of all. It's to construct the adult.
Construct the adult.
The child is not just a small adult waiting to grow up. They are a worker. They are laboring day in and day out to build the intelligence, the emotions, the character of the man or woman they will become. If we interrupt that work, if we mutilate that worker, we get a broken society.
And that leads us to the ultimate conclusion of this entire series. We need a new science.
We need a science of peace.
A science of peace.
Let's think back to the beginning of the episode. We have a science of war. We have military academies. We have defense budgets. We need a science of peace that is just as rigorous, just as funded, and just as respected. Peace is not just not fighting.
Right.
Peace is a construct. It must be built.
And it has to be built in the nursery, not at the peace treaty table.
The treaty table is too late. The biological reality, and this is the final ultimatum of the book, is simple. It is either education for peace or extinction.
Wow. Either education for peace or extinction.
We have tried war for thousands of years. It hasn't worked. It is time to try the weapon of the child.
The weapon of the child. That is a powerful place to land. It's not a soft message about just being nice. It's a prescription to save the world.
It absolutely is. And for you, listening right now, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by the magnitude of saving the world,
Mm.
I want to offer this advice. Don't wait for a government decree. Don't wait for the Ministry of Childhood to be formed.
What should you do?
Start today, in your own home, with your own children or students. Respect the child. Value their independence. When they want to pour their own milk, let them, even if it spills. When they want to walk, let them walk. Thank the cosmic baker for the work they are doing.
It starts at the kitchen table.
It always does.
This has been an incredible 17-episode journey through education and peace. You've been a phenomenal guide.
It has been a privilege. But remember, the mission of building humans doesn't stop here.
It definitely doesn't. And a huge thank you again to our sponsors, Al Mahaba Foundation and Dar El Kalima Publishing. Without their support, we just couldn't have brought this deep dive to you.
Their commitment to this message is part of the solution.
Absolutely. The book is finished, but the work continues. We will be back with new topics, new books, and deeper insights. But for now, we want to leave you with the motto that sums up everything we've discussed.
Love for all, service for everyone.
Love for all, service for everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.